Hi Nfocus, welcome to the Callaway Compound. I think we're going to start in the kitchen, which is where everybody always ends up, no matter where I want to put them during a party. This is one of my very favorite rooms. I spend a lot of time in here. I love to cook, but I love it especially because of the wallpaper. My family's business, my mother's family's business, was interior design from the 40s on, and they had a floor and wall covering element that was always my favorite. So I grew up around lots of wallpaper. So this is 1981 Waverly. I got it on Etsy, and we ran out. There wasn't enough to finish the entire kitchen and also do these beautiful doors. So I decided to go full contrast and went 60s pop art. So got this on eBay. A lot of the stuff I found is secondhand. This house is full of secondhand finds. I think it's more fun actually than buying retail. So when you come a little bit further in, something else I really love is having my friends all around me. And I do that in this house by bringing in artists and makers and vendors that I love, that I'm friends with. So all of the rugs, there's 7 rugs in here that are by Alyssa Spearden of Relic Home. Right when you came in, there's a beautiful piece by Vadas Turner, who's a dear friend of mine. I've got works by Caroline Allison also. There are 14 different local vendors who are represented, local makers and artists that are represented in my house. There's also a lot of recurring things, like I made a list of all the different recurring animals and elements to my house. One is rabbits. I've got lots of rabbits in here, and it's kind of funny. I'm not a really big live animal person, but I love an inanimate object that's shaped like an animal. I love this room so much, like I said, because I spend a lot of time in it, and there's just so many great custom elements. Like Jason Stabler, who worked for my contractor, Aaron Rosberg, made this piece for me out of copper that we had left over, and it's aged so well. I kind of love the whole idea of letting things just kind of decompose, because like this, you know, the greening of the copper looks so cool. You know, I was going to take you through here, but a better way to get to the dining room is through my pantry, which is actually one of the most glam spots in my house because of, ta-da, a chandelier. Why shouldn't it have a chandelier in it? Why shouldn't it be lipstick red? It should be a fun space. So it's also great space for a bar if I'm having a party. And this is the dining room, AKA my office. It has a lot of my favorite elements in it, in that it is absolutely eclectic. So it has like 60s and 70s modern. It has the bent wood from the early part of the 19th century probably, or the 20th century, which is kind of, I like things that aren't quite perfect either. And as you'll see, somebody drew a star on that chair, on this cane, and I think that's just brilliant. It's so much fun. Let me tell you a little bit about the renovation. So the house was originally just this part forward, and somebody with my skill set, which I don't possess a skill set, added on to it later. So there was 1,000 square feet of kind of livable, because I lived in it for a long time, but not really well made back of the house, if you will. So when we decided to do the renovation, I added 1,300 square feet on. We poured a slab and took all the crap off. So for, oh my God, it was over a year. It was like 13 months. I lived in the front part of the house. This was boarded up with plywood while they put on the back of the house. And then they broke through, and I went out of town and moved into my sister's house. When I lived in New York on the Lower East Side, I had a very eclectic apartment. There were 4 stories. We were on the top 2 floors. On the first floor was a drag queen, and on the second floor was a DJ. And he used to put out the most random albums. So there's probably 24 albums in here that were his, including this extended play version of Valley Girl. This is the pièce de la résistance, according to a lot of people. This is the arch from the Chinese restaurant I got on Facebook Marketplace, St. Florian, Alabama. When I search on Facebook Marketplace, I look for Asian and lacquer, because I really like Asian lacquered furniture, and this came up. And it's so funny, I bought it from a Mexican family who had bought a Chinese restaurant and was turning it into a Mexican restaurant, so they were getting rid of this. And to me, when I was growing up in small town East Tennessee, the most exotic place in town was the Chinese restaurant. So I've always really romanticized these arches. And so having one in my house is like, I get to live in the coolest place ever. So coming on down through here, this is kind of a plant bonanza. We have the one space I will open for you so you can see. This is my laundry area. I got this amazing neon at Gaslamp Antique Mall. I used to work there, and this was in a showcase forever, and I finally was like, I'm going to buy that apple dumplings because it's just random and remarkable. I'm sure it was in some country store somewhere. But the thing that I really love, the whole closet is papered in my friend's New Hat's Crappy Magic wallpaper. And there's a zine in town called Crappy Magic, and the dude goes to Goodwill bins and takes random pieces and photographs them and runs them in this magazine. They did a wallpaper to accompany it. So I was able to give them the custom color that I wanted. I knew I wanted lavender. It came in blue, I think. And then Elizabeth and Kelly, put together the certain pieces and placed them all on here. So it's a custom design that they did for me. It's one of my favorite things in here. So we have the other end of the arch, which leads into the main bedroom, which is AKA my opium den. No opium is done in here, by the way. Just has that effect. I really wanted a sitting area in my room, and I wanted it to be grand. I wanted it to vault, so it vaults to 15 feet. It has these rose windows on either end, just like the Episcopal church I grew up in. And it has an amazing bed that I got at Gaslamp Antique Mall too. This brass bed was bigger than it is right now, and I have a king size mattress in it. We think it was for a water bed. I had it cut down by a guy named Bubba in Madison. So, which seems really fitting for somebody who's living in East Nashville. You know, it's basically Madison is our neighbors. But I absolutely adore going to bed every night because it feels like a special experience. It feels like I'm on some magic carpet going somewhere special. The rest of the room is full of wicker because when I was growing up, my mom was an antique dealer, and my childhood weekends were filled with going to different flea markets all over the South, having pickers come to our house at 5 o'clock in the morning, going to antique malls. And she specialized in wicker from the Victorian to the Deco era. So I have gotten pieces of that. But you know, I really break rules because the eras in here totally clash. I've got a Dorothy Draper L'Espagne, cabinet over here. I've got like a mid-century brown wood piece right here. I've got this rattan set that is probably from the 40s. And then I've got this 1970s porn star bed. So it is absolutely eclectic, and a set of deco rugs. I don't believe that you have to keep things pure. I think that breaking rules is fun. In fact, that's something that I told my contractor when we started doing this house. I was like, the rules are you have to reuse as much as you can. So I like using formerly used elements like the arch. And also, it can't look like anybody else's house. And I think we succeeded in that. Through this door is my bathroom, which is one of my other very favorite. They're all my favorite rooms. I can't get around that. So my bathroom really is a haven. I absolutely love it. I incorporated this. My grandfather owned a Woolworths building in my hometown and had this really heavy mirror from the 30s. It's double-sided. We built it into the wall. And across from it is my White Snake video David Coverdale moment. I wanted this 1980s block wall really badly, so we made that happen. So each of the rooms kind of has a different designer feel in my mind. Like my bedroom is all about Tony Duquette, who is one of my favorite interior designers. This is my David Hicks room because it's really graphic. And actually the wallpaper is a Hicks hex. It's a hexagon print. So I was really excited to have David Hicks wallpaper in here. And I kind of built around it. So I chose all my tile is hexagonal, except for the penny tiles that I used on the floor and in the bathtub. And this bathtub is totally custom made for me. I am 5'10", I've got long legs, but I can sit in that corner and stretch my legs out. This door leads to my closet. This is where I get dressed every morning. But I've got another closet, which I'm going to show you in a second. This is where I keep my long dresses and things that are in high rotation, as well as my shoes. Something about this room, so, you know, I have my David Hicks moment, I have my Tony Duquette moment. This is, I don't know who the designer is, but all I know, this is a little bit cattywampus right now, but there's lots of things in here. This is like a Game of Thrones room. I didn't even watch Game of Thrones, but I know the reference. These look like they could hurt you. The guest room. This room I call my Andra room, and that's because one of my dear friends, Andra Eggleston, who has a textile company called Electra Eggleston, was kind enough to let me turn one of my favorite textiles of hers into wallpaper, which I did with a company called 23. I originally had Andra's fabric called Cairo put on chairs, and I got these chairs in Naples, Florida for like $5 each and had them recovered in this amazing fabric. And when it came time to do this room, I was like, I want to go all the way. So I love like what Billy Baldwin and all those designers did. Like, you know, in the 50s and 60s, they would take these Grand Park Avenue rooms and use one pattern all over them. They'd sheer fabric all over the ceilings, which I loved, and the walls, and these huge drapes. I said to Andra, I was like, I want to do fabric all over the wall. She was like, you can't afford it. I was like, you're right. So we did this collaboration instead. Excuse me. But I've covered every bit. Like, you'll see that door is completely covered in wallpaper. One thing that this room has that's kind of probably a pain for people who stay in it, I didn't even think about it, is that it has my other main closet. I've got two main closets. So this is really like where most of my clothes are. And just so you know, I just got rid of 8 boxes of clothes. And I still have all this. I really, really like clothes. And I love my mannequin. I've had her for a long time. I've sold vintage clothes for years, and she has gone with me everywhere I go, but now she lives in my closet. This is out of the guest room, the Andra room, and back into the rest of the house. This house kind of goes in a circle. So kids love it because they're able to like run around in a circle, but I love it because I never have to open a door. I just continue to go around. But now we're back in the kitchen where I spend a lot of time, and I've loved having you guys here. Thank you for coming. Come back anytime. I could talk for hours about all the things in this house. You've just scraped the surface here, but there's so many different things. I was telling somebody earlier about all the visual puns that I try to create here, and the longer you're here, the longer the more you see. And I continue to see them myself. I don't even realize I'm creating them when I do them. It's just an endless way to amuse myself. That's what this house is.